Good evening. I want to convene the public portion of the August 1st Select Board meeting. I know we have been properly warned because we entered into executive session at 5:45. The first order of business is, would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 11th, 2017 meeting?
So moved, and I'd like to address the motion as well.
Oh, David has made a motion to approve the minutes of the July 11th, 2017 meeting, and he'd like to, do you have
Say
comments?
something.
Yes.
Yeah. Somewhere in here, it says that my cryptic comment on this a quick email to Brandy was
Oh,
not
yeah.
clear. I
We-
didn't understand what in the world I was talking
Yeah.
about. So at some point, I'd like to explain what I was thinking about.
Yeah, we'd love
And
that.
since that's not on the agenda, I didn't think to ask to have it on the agenda. I'm not sure, maybe
think-
under other business at the end.
I think we,
It's-
yes,
it's-
I think we can.
Or
I think we-
actually, it would be old business because it has to do with our goals.
Yes.
Which I wasn't here for.
Okay.
So, however you'd like to handle it, Madam Chair, handle it. It's up to you.
Well, wasn't it about energy committee things? It had something to do with energy, wasn't it? Yeah.
That's a really good question. It did, okay, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we might.
It was
we-
about energy?
Yeah, so we might be able to, it might be an issue we can talk about.
That would be good.
When we talk about the energy committee. Because I think it was putting
Yeah.
things on the website or
It was,
publishing things.
yeah. And I thought it would be under the goals
Yeah.
because that was one of the goals that we
Yeah.
haven't made any progress on yet.
Yeah, so we could talk about it maybe as a strategy under energy
Okay,
committee report.
okay, that's perfect. Everybody will be asleep by then.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 11th meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Now, under Chair's remarks, I just want to acknowledge the accident that happened in West Brattleboro where we had a pedestrian killed. I know all of our hearts go out to not only the victim's family, but to the driver and his family as well. We have unfortunately had our fair share of accidents like that in our town, and we always try to sort of search for a solution, and obviously there's no easy one. I want to call everyone's attention to an editorial the Reformer wrote a week ago today, and if you haven't read it, I would suggest you do because it's an excellent editorial, really getting to the heart of the matter, that it's not just about putting more crosswalks or putting more lights out. It's really about all of us slowing down, whether you're a pedestrian, whether you're a driver. And it's more about not even just slowing down as you're walking or you're driving, but slowing down, realizing what do you have to get to that's so important that you can't take a minute and do what you're supposed to do. I would read the whole thing because it's great, but it is very long, so I'll leave it up to everybody. But there's one paragraph or one line that sort of sums up what they're saying. And it says, whether we like it or not, we are all in this boat together, and taking a few moments to look both ways before crossing the street or to take a foot off the gas pedal can go a long way, both to building community and to protecting each other from heartbreak. So I think if we all keep that in mind the next time we're out, accidents sometimes are unavoidable, but I think as a community we can try to look out for each other a little bit more. So that's what I have to say on a sad note.
Can I
John?
add something to
Yes.
that while we're on that subject? And I'm not sure where the town was, but there was a town recently, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. It sounds a little corny, but and it's a town probably I think around our size, and I think it's down towards the Cape somewhere. But they implemented a program where pedestrians, if they're in a crosswalk or getting to a crosswalk, wave. And they make eye contact with the car, and they said it has reduced accidents incredibly, and they've only done it for like the last 6 or 7 months. Mm-hmm. And they've got a big campaign. There's signs everywhere, wave. We're not waving just to be friendly. We're waving to make eye contact. And it's a great program, and I think we should look into it.
I like that.
You know, it's simple, but because everybody thinks it's always, and I don't want to get into it, but, it's always the driver or whatever. But I've had a lot of pedestrians hop out in front of me, and it's,
Especially at night when people are dressed all in
yes.
black and you can't even
right,
see
but
them.
the waving thing, God, it just seemed like a pretty simple idea, and if we do a campaign on it, and I like the idea, so just something to think about.
See the chief's making a note back there.
John?
Now he's saying John's rambling again.
Now, does the town manager have any comments?
Thank you. I have two quick ones this evening. The first is just to, I guess, remind some people, but mostly ask for the patience and cooperation of those parts of the community where we're doing construction work at this time of year, because we're doing a lot of it. This is part of investing ourselves more fully in capital improvements and maintaining the town's infrastructure. It comes during the summer months with some disruption, but a very important long-term benefit for the community. We've got hundreds of thousands of dollars being invested in probably a dozen or more projects around the community right now. So it's a real busy time out there, and if that's happening in your neighborhood, we ask that you try to feel more grateful rather than disrupted by what's going on. And if it's not happening in your neighborhood, then recognize that your turn will come. We're committed to maintaining the infrastructure and all parts of town. So just wanted to say that, and over the course of the next 6 weeks or so, a lot of that's going to wrap up, and over the course of the next 3 months, all of it will wrap up. But it's still going to be a really active time here for the next several weeks. And the other thing I just wanted to let everyone know about is on Friday of this week, we'll be having our annual town employee picnic. And so town offices and the library will be closed between 11:30 and 1 o'clock this Friday the 4th for the town employees to come together for that event. All of the emergency services, of course, will be provided as usual. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And part of that construction is going to be in the Harmony parking lot as well, right?
Yes, actually, 3 parking lots are going to be resurfaced this summer, and that work will also be completed. It'll be beginning soon. There'll be news going out around it shortly, or notices to the public about it, and it will be completed over the next several weeks also, between now and the end of September.
It's interesting, when we decided to do all 3 of them, it seemed like a really good idea. Now that I'm thinking about half of each of the 3 parking lots being not available, I had another thought about the process of that.
I think you're going to be pleased with the outcome.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it'll be well
Yeah.
worth it.
And it's a pretty condensed period of time, too. It's
Yeah.
going to be several weeks, but less than 2 months for the total of all the 3 projects.
Good. All right, now are you done, Peter?
Yes, I am.
Sure.
Thank you.
Is there anyone on the board that has any comments or committee reports? John?
Well, this is because I just saw Hannah here, and I just wanted to, speaking about construction around town, I just had to laugh today. So my shop is up off of Bonneville Road. So you've got Bonneville Road ripped apart, okay? So what genius decided to also do, what's the road by 7-Eleven? Is that?
Greenleaf.
Huh?
Greenleaf.
Greenleaf at the same time.
It's the genius that's not here today.
Very condensed construction season.
I know. So I'm going to Greenleaf,
You
and
can go
they've
in till Marlboro and stay around.
they've got that road ripped up, but at least you can pass. But I'm thinking, wow, you've got people because Bonneville Road is used a lot. It's amazing how much traffic. And I'm not dissing on anybody. I just thought I'd bring it up because I saw you here.
And Rocky, your dump truck, and maybe get done faster.
It was just funny when you brought up construction.
I do too, Kate.
John Street is never going to be redone now.
I'll never get a new sidewalk on Fairview Street now. That's
David.
okay.
I wasn't here at the last meeting, but so I watched the video and read all about it, and I wanted to say a couple things about the panhandling conversation. I think that it was pretty clear to everybody involved in listening and paying attention to it that it's really a complex situation. There are lots of layers and lots of it's going to require lots of approaches to actually have any impact, to do anything about it. And I believe it's in September, we're going to be coming back with a report and with some steps on the 4, or some decisions and updates and direction on the 4, the survey and the the four things that were decided, the four steps that were decided to be taken. And I just wanted to ask people, anybody that has an opinion or an idea or any thoughts about this, to please pay attention to the calendar and listen to us in the meetings or check the media to find out when that's going to be. September's going to have that. It's going to have, I think, the plastic bags, and also some next steps in terms of integrating our workforce. And those are three pretty big topics, and so it's going to be an action-packed month for select board meetings, but please, people, come and talk. We need everybody's ideas at all levels. It's not a simple thing. Nobody's got the answer. Nobody's got the right view or the full picture, and the more people we can hear from and the more examples and the more experience we know about, the better we're going to be able to figure out what to do. And also be prepared to volunteer help. Thanks.
Well said. Anyone else?
I do.
Yeah, Brandy.
I just wanted to say that August is World Breastfeeding Month, and August 1st through August 7th is Breastfeeding Awareness Week, and it's certainly not a time to shame how any parent feeds their baby. Parents rock, and you're feeding your kids, and that rocks, but it's a time to bring it to light, to make sure that women have safe and clean and comfortable places in their workplaces to be able to pump during the day or out in public, to normalize babies need to eat when they need to eat, and frankly, mama's bodies need to make that milk and let it go when it needs to. And if we can just kind of normalize this action and just see it as part of life and a beautiful thing, that's what this is all about.
Thank you.
You just contributed to that process.
Tim, I'm not putting you on the spot. Does anyone else have anything?
No, I don't have it.
Tim, you got it.
Now it's time for public participation, and this is the time for anyone who has wants to speak on a topic that is not on the agenda. This is the time to do so. What I would ask, if you do want to speak, that you keep your comments to about 2 minutes. So I don't know if there's anyone. Dale. And if you come up and say your name and where you're from for the listening audience and also for the minutes.
Hi, I'm Dale. I'm from Brattleboro, born and raised here, and around town, around the area. My first topic, there's two things, is I want to apologize to the board. I do get out of hand, especially the last few months. Part of it was part of some of the classwork I'm doing, and now I graduate in November, so they say I have to be politically correct for up till I graduate. Then I go back to being an ogre. But no, I want to apologize to the board for anything I may have made you feel uncomfortable. I can get very excited. And I know you guys are doing the best you can do. That's all we ask as a town, is to put our best foot forward and try to do our best. So I hope you accept my apology.
Thank you.
And then the other part is, I have started an association, myself and a few others, and we hope to add many more to it for Brattleboro and the surrounding area. It will be a tenant association. There are a lot of complaints, but we're going to come now as a group. And because we're not really being heard. So we want to bring it to the public. Okay?
Good idea.
Great.
Nice, Dale.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And you're good. You're good at what you do.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Yes, please come on up.
Well, my class syllabus demands that I remain politically incorrect. So I will do that. I wanted to mention to you all that I've been keeping an eagle's eye out for errant plastic bags that might be going into the Connecticut River and then out into the ocean. That was suggested as a avenue that I might explore. So I've been keeping an eye out, and I did find one plastic bag so far at Hannaford's, but it was rolling away from the river cooperating with the select board wishes, and I picked the bag up and threw it away.
Thank you, very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Did you throw it in the river?
Is there anyone else in the public that has something to talk about that's not on the agenda? Great, thank you. Now we're going to move into liquor commissioners. Do I have a motion to convene as liquor commissioners?
So moved.
Brandy has made a motion to convene as liquor commissioners. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And we have 2 liquor licenses to talk about this evening, and the first one is for World Learning. And the town manager.
Thank you. World Learning is applying for a first-class liquor license because they have had a contract provider of their food and beverage services at the campus up on Kipling Road, and that contract is coming to an end, and World Learning is going to be providing their own food and beverage service, so they now need to be the holder of the first-class liquor license at that location. We have reviewed the application, and it has been approved by both the police and the fire department, and it is ready for your approval and then to be forwarded to DLC for final action. We recommend your approval.
So basically, nothing is changing except the
Operator.
operator, yeah?
Right.
Okay.
Just a couple of questions. There are a lot of underage people there in the summertime. We're very grateful to the farmers market because they come for lunch, but in numbers of like 50 and 60 at a time. I'm assuming that this includes training of all the staff and anyone that would be in a
Absolutely.
position to serve.
It does do that, and there is enforcement that goes on. There's DLC does enforcement as well as the Prevention Coalition. I know is involved in spot checks. I don't know whether they go to campus settings like that as opposed to just to the businesses in town.
I
But
can't think of another campus that has a liquor license.
yeah, I'm not certain either. But there hasn't ever been. I guess the point is that the operation is intended to be the same as it was before, but by the institution now rather than by a contractor.
Right.
And there hasn't been a problem there with enforcement. They've always been
They're
able
not going to
to.
open a bar in the sportsman's.
So we believe that it's appropriate for you to approve it, and it will be of course subject to all the training requirements and enforcement requirements for DLC.
It must be more for the catering end and the events.
The caterer.
That's
It is exactly that.
Right,
Right.
right.
Thanks for clarifying.
I think
that, yeah.
because I've been to a lot of events up in there. And
Right.
it's usually, that's usually the case. is
Right.
that They're setting up for that. But now they're going to be doing their own catering. And so, I mean, that's interesting. Yeah.
Does anyone in the public have any comments or questions about the liquor license for World Learning? Would anyone on the board like to? Oh, I'm sorry.
I came. Hi, I'm Alyssa Lemna. I'm the director of events and food service now on the World Learning campus.
Cool.
And so just to kind of reassure you, David, that I did attend the mandatory liquor training and am the one who is on campus now certified to issue the training to other employees. And we will follow the very strict guidelines, check all IDs. We don't typically do any catering business in the summer when the youth programs are on campus. It is, and just to
Yeah.
follow up on what John was saying, it's mostly for catered events like
Yeah.
weddings.
Right.
We've hosted the Brattleboro Union High School reunion for many different classes and things of that nature. Occasionally there's something the president might host a reception and we might serve beer and wine at that event. But we don't have a pub on campus. We don't intend to really ever have a pub on campus just because of the complications that brings with it. And yes, we are going to be doing more catered events.
That's great.
Thank you. Thank you for considering it.
Now, can I ask you one quick question that's totally sort of probably irrelevant to all the liquor license? But are you folks hiring more staff to do this, or?
So yes and no. We first opened it up to the current food service staff and brought over those that were interested in coming with us. And then we had a little bit of a change because Sodexo is the management company on campus now, and so not all of their managers are staying. So we actually did post and hire a few positions externally, and I think it's almost an even kind of one for one for the most part. Some of the programs changing. We have much fewer students coming in the fall than we've had in the past. So we're actually kind of downsizing in some ways, looking to increase the catering so that it maybe evens out at least for this year and next year. And we're developing new programs, hoping to attract even more students in the future.
Oh, good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone on the board like to make a
Sure.
motion?
To approve a first-class liquor license for World Learning Inc., DBA School for International Training, located at 1 Kipling Road.
John has made a motion to approve a liquor license for World Learning doing business as School for International Training. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries 5-0. You're all set. Thank you. Next up is a liquor license for Papanap Inc., probably screwed that up, doing business as Brattleboro Bowl.
You got the okay on
Thank
that?
you. Brattleboro Bowl is being sold to Papanap Inc. And so this is a very similar situation to what we just dealt with, where the operation that we're familiar with is intended to continue the same as it's been. It's not a location where we've had violations and any issues to deal with. The application for the new owners and operators and the applicants for the first-class liquor license has been reviewed and approved by our police department and fire department, and we believe that it is ready for your approval and forwarding to DLC.
Now, are you Andrea?
I am.
Do you want to say like a few words and tell us what your plans are?
It's free publicity.
We'll give you some you can either sit up here or stand there.
I'll stand right
Okay. And just tell us a little bit, what your plans are for the place, and are they changing from what it's been?
Well, no, I mean, I think it's a well-loved location.
Yeah,
it is.
And so, my husband and I moved here 3 years ago. He's a very good bowler. He's bowled like 19 perfect games. And, he bowled a perfect game on lane 5 over there, and when they redid the lanes, he got the lane, and our kitchen table is now.
Excellent.
Yeah, so,
Well, you-
in any event, I'm sure you all know Audrey and Burl.
Yes, yes.
And they're well loved, but they've been gone for 6 years,
Yeah.
and it was time, for them to make a move, because we approached them and said, if you ever want to
Right.
sell, we would love to have the opportunity to buy.
Yeah.
So we're really looking forward to sort of bringing it back to where it was when they were here full time, having more events. They were heavily involved with the Bowl for Kids.
Yep.
So really getting that, I mean, it's still going, of course, but getting involved in that and other events. The snack bar could use a little revamping, so, I mean, there's chicken fingers and french fries, but, kids like pizza and popcorn and
Right.
ice cream, so that kind of thing, just really sort of bringing it
Yeah.
into the current,
Century.
Yeah, well, as much as we can,
Yeah,
but we're keeping
right.
it the way it is, because
Right.
people love it the way it is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And you're coming into your busy season now, aren't you?
Yeah, just
with
about.
the Winter
Yep.
Bowling League?
yeah, leagues start up in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
We could do a select board bowling league.
I used to bowl. That's what I first did. For the first 5 years, I bowled.
I bowled until about 3 years ago in the
Yeah.
leagues.
Oh, you need to come back.
I know.
Yeah.
I really should.
We're also trying to come up with ways to get businesses to have leagues, and maybe
Yeah.
doing short season leagues, because a lot of people don't want to commit to 30 weeks of bowling.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of bowling. So
Yeah.
if you do 8 weeks, and just have a smaller number of teams
Right.
and split nights like that. Do-
It's a great spot, too. It's a great location.
Yeah.
And it's very well loved.
Can I ask, is
Go ahead.
this also applying to the Springfield location? Are you buying?
No, they sold that.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Great. Does anyone else do you have any questions?
No,
Obviously, this isn't confidential anymore.
Obviously not.
I wasn't going to say anything until.
I know. I wasn't going to bring that up, Dave.
And I didn't see a date on the list, probably there, I just didn't see a date, so I was like, I hope this was a while ago. 'cause it's not-
Yeah, no, I mean, this sort of happened quickly because I just went to the town clerk a few days ago, and,
Yeah.
you guys had an opening, so it was,
Perfect.
which is perfect for us, because, we need to have the license in order to open, because that's a huge amount of revenue generating.
Yeah. That sounds good.
So, we
does it-
could,
Oh, does anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve a first-class liquor license for Papanap Inc., DBA Brattleboro Bowl, located at 865 Putney Road.
We have a motion to approve a first-class liquor license for Papanap Inc., doing business as Brattleboro Bowl. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Yay.
No. Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations.
There'll be bowling in Brattleboro.
Come bowling.
We will.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn as liquor commissioners?
So moved.
We have a motion to adjourn as liquor commissioners. All those in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? We are adjourned as liquor commissioners. Next up is our regular police fire facilities project update.
Thank you. This evening, it's both brief and exciting. We are putting the finishing touches on the police station. So by the next time we're together, the construction there will be complete, and the police department will have begun its phased move-in. You'll recall from our prior discussions about this that in order to keep the field operations of the police department unaffected by the move will be unit by unit in a gradual way over the next 4 or 5 weeks. But we do expect that by September 17th, the department will be fully operational at the new facility. And we expect that sometime during the week prior, that there'll be a public
Oh, good.
gathering, ribbon cutting,
No.
open house celebration.
A button pushing.
A button pushing, yes ma'am. So,
I'll bet the chief's office is already done though, right? Yeah. I'm
no,
sure.
no, coming along like everybody else's.
Okay, yeah. Hey,
That'd be
bye.
good.
We will coordinate separately around your calendars
Yeah.
and the calendars of the Police Fire Facilities Building Committee in order to find the most opportune date possible for
The
that
date-
open house.
The date John can't
Oh,
be
no,
here.
no.
No, we're gonna try to accommodate John this time since we
Yeah.
missed that on the West Brattleboro Fire Station.
Okay.
So, unless there are any questions about the police station, I'll move on to Central Fire.
No, that's great.
There, we have a tremendous amount of activity still going on and still will be going on for the next several months. We expect to finish about on time. We've been saying in November, we expect that by late November or early December, we will be finished there. No major issues have arisen. But we have found that some of the sequencing inside the building is occurring a little different than was originally planned because it's working out better for the contractor and for the department. So there's more work getting completed as part of phase one, and that transition from phase one to phase two, where the department's going to move into renovated space so that the remainder of the building can be completed. We thought was going to happen in August. It's actually going to happen in September instead. But we want to make sure that it's clear that that's because of the shifting around of the sequence of work and does not indicate a month's delay in the completion of the project. In addition to that, outside the actual station itself, you may have noticed that there's been intersection improvement work going on at Spring Street and Elliott Street. That's to open up the Spring Street entrance into Elliott Street there to make the turning radius appropriate for the fire equipment. And as we have discussed in months past about that particular part of this issue, there are 3 spaces right now by TJ Buckley's that are going to have to be removed. That'll become no parking so that there's enough room there for the fire vehicles to get out onto Elliott Street and answer their calls. But we're going to be able to actually not just replace those 3, but even designate a few more spaces further east on Elliott Street. So in places that are currently no parking because of the current location of the bays and the vehicles coming out onto Elliott Street, now there's going to be the ability to have some on-street parking. So
Will it be that fenced area?
well, it's going to actually be both adjacent to the station and further east. And so
Okay.
we're going to bring you a plan. We'll show you a map, and we'll have an ordinance so that you can approve it in September to make that change. And we'll have the exact count for you at that time, but it'll be more than 3 spaces that are made available in exchange for the 3 that'll be lost.
That was the parking that was originally done that way, wasn't it? At one point, I thought there was parking there, and then it shifted
It's
up.
possible that there was, I don't know that. What I do recall is some extensive discussion of this as far back as the last PFFBC meeting, which was a good long time ago now, back when
Yeah.
the plans for the project were being finalized. And that recommendation from the committee was brought to the board, and the board approved it. I think primarily based on understanding that, for one location, there's going to be a little more inconvenience. For the other location, a little more convenience, but the net impact to the community is positive.
Just a quick update on Station 2. When is
Sure.
that when is the old building coming down?
We will be back to you to
Okay.
ask for action on that.
Okay.
And I don't know whether we'll be doing that before snow flies or whether we'll be doing that in the spring. So we'll confer about that. We have project committee meetings tomorrow, and we'll be able to get back to you about that.
And we decided while you were away that you were going to do it.
That's great. Great.
And then regarding the finances, there's a few minor bills that I've authorized to be paid. They're identified on the list that we provide each time. A couple of electric bills and a couple of soil testing bills. Actually, it's the soils company, but it's testing of other materials at the site. But importantly, on the overarching financial report for the project, we still have $545,850 of uncommitted funds. We're carrying that ever smaller list of items, including the $55,000 for the demolition and the site work out in West Brattleboro. The items that we've been carrying for several months to show things that are intended to still be accomplished before the project is finished, but have not yet been charged against the uncommitted balance. So if all of those things do get completed in the manner that they're projected between now and the end of the job, we expect to finish with about $200,000 remaining. And that would be subject to potential reappropriation by town meeting.
Great.
Peter, is there, I think this has come up before, but I'm not remembering. Well, one simple question. The police station carport is the Sally Port. Is that-
It's not the Sally
it's not-
Port.
it's
So
not-
the Sally Port is being built into
That was
the
the-
renovated
yeah,
building.
and that was in the
They'll
bid.
actually drive into the
Yeah.
building and process the prisoners. The carport would be in the exterior parking area where the police cars will be parked. We have an opportunity to provide some cover there. They're going to be in a separate part, unlike the parking lot here where they're out in the middle of the area that's used by the public. And they're actually going to be in a secured area at the back of the property. And we've had some conversation previously about the possibility of placing a carport over those just to keep snow off them. Operationally, it's far better for the police department to be able to go out and get into a car that's been protected from the snow and drive away. But it's also for the protection, better life for the vehicles and so on. There's been some different ideas about how extensive that carport might be, including with some solar on it or some other treatment besides just building a sturdy carport. And so I think we need to give some more attention to that before it'll be ready for your action.
I was just wondering if that might be better in the long-term capital plan than added on as a part of the project.
That'll ultimately be a decision for the select board to make. It's an item that in the previous consideration by both the committee and the select board, you expressed a desire to look at again at the end of the job if there were funds available for it.
Yeah. And then the replacement of the roof?
Yes.
Just, I've lost track of what.
Sure.
why
So
it's-
what we found, we actually had some leaks in the building, and so there was a portion of the roof that had to be replaced. It was in very bad shape. There's another portion of the roof that is this remaining, what they call the high roof area, that is has some life left in it, but not a lot. And so the concern is if we wait for that to start failing, we're going to have leaks into a brand new renovated building. And so there's an opportunity there also as one of the final decisions when we see how much funds are available at the end of the job to potentially do that roof replacement as well and protect the renovated space beneath.
You have quickly mentioned the committee. Are we going to meet anytime soon? Or are we at, I don't think we're at the end of our,
If there's a decision that you need to weigh in on, and there may be related to items we've discussed here this evening, to make a recommendation to the select board, then we'll convene a meeting of the committee. We'll certainly be at the two remaining celebrations. But the reason we've gone so many months without is because we've just been implementing what you've previously recommended and the board has previously approved.
I'm just wondering if it would be a good idea just to convene a meeting and go over everything with Steve Horton and.
Be happy to offer that.
Yeah.
At the last committee meeting that we had, the committee explicitly said, we don't want to come together just for status reports. You can do that with the select board.
Right, but it's been a while.
Yes, it has.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. That's the end of my report unless you have any questions.
No. Anyone, more questions? Does anyone in the public have any questions about the police fire facilities project update. All right. Well, moving on to new business, the street sweeper. Is it Hannah that's coming up?
Yes, it is.
We're gonna get a new street sweeper.
Hi, Hannah.
Hi,
Long time no see.
it has been a while.
It really has.
So, you wanna tell us about the street sweeper?
Certainly. Good evening, my name is Hannah Tyler. I'm the Highway Utilities Superintendent for the town of Brattleboro. And this evening, I'm seeking approval to award a bid to Delivery Sales and Service of North Hoosick, New York, in the amount of $259,385 for a new street sweeper, which we just went out to bid for a couple weeks ago. We only received one bid despite soliciting many and advertising publicly.
We've used them before, though.
We use them for almost all of our trucks. It's not a sole supplier, but we like having the international. They're the local international dealer, and so we have all kinds of extra parts and pieces kicking around to.
So, Hannah, is our current street sweeper dying?
It is. It's a 2005. They have a lot of parts to them. It's very hard on them mechanically, and it's been in the shop many times. So it's a optimal time to replace it. We got $20,000 for a trade-in, so that was pretty good. And it's time to make a good investment.
And this was in the capital plan, correct?
That's correct.
Hannah, when you said not getting bids in is a concern to me, that if we're not getting, maybe not getting the best price. And when you put the bid out, how do you design the specification? I mean, do you specify things you know are in an international because you know they work well? And I'm looking for what might be discouraging people from bidding.
Well, there's kind of a lot of moving pieces to that. We do spec out things that we want specifically. So we put a bid specification out for a vacuum sweeper versus one with a lot of brushes on it. It keeps the dust down. It's a little bit more effective. It uses water to keep that down. It's a little bit more friendly environmentally and in an urban environment. And although we don't ever specifically say that it has to be a certain brand, the international, we don't specify that it has to be an international chassis. We put bids out that anybody can bid on. We're fortunate this time that the international met that bid because we do have a primarily international fleet.
The reason I'm asking is a few years ago we had some bids on a new backhoe. I think it was a new backhoe. It was a nice big one. And there's a company up in Richmond, or I'm not sure if they're across the line in Williston or not. But anyway, it's a company up there. And they were concerned because the specs were so clearly for one manufacturer that they had to really look around for something for the manufacturer they sold to find the right thing. And there was some lack of communication, and I think we wound up spending about $20,000 more than we might have had to. And by the time we figured that out, the bid had already, we'd already done the ordering and the bid had been approved. And so I'm just concerned that if that the specs maybe be a little more vague or a little more broadly drawn, so that other people would be encouraged to submit bids.
Well, I think there's a few things going on. One of the things, we have a very dedicated maintenance staff who they do get specific with what they ask for, and it's more for quality issues. It's not brand specific. It's just that there's things that they ask for, certain wire coatings, certain body coatings, certain washers, and all,
Things are going to work better.
right. And we, they work with a lot of towns closely to see what else is working for other towns, what towns are getting for longevity. So they put a lot of thought into their bids, into what's going to get the most bang for our buck and last us a long time for the town. The other thing that we're kind of up against in New England is there aren't a lot of suppliers. we're relatively limited. I also know that a lot of manufacturers kind of, I don't know, they're very territorial. So even though another manufacturer in New Jersey may be able to supply that piece of equipment or something, you know, for example, hypothetically, they won't because it's another dealer's territory. So that's something we also have run up against in the past, not specifically with this bid.
One additional thing, if I may, on this specific piece of equipment, it doesn't go to the overarching point of how specs are written for all the vehicles, but in this particular case, because it is such a specialized piece of equipment, that there's not a lot of manufacturers that can compete for it, and it's expensive, and so the current one was actually failing as long ago as 2 years ago and maybe further. And so we took a look actually at the possibility of contracting for this service. There are parts of the country where that's pretty common, where there are whole companies that provide street sweeping services, and that's not common up in this part of the world, and wasn't something that was going to actually provide a cost-effective alternative to us. And so we went back to speccing a good durable sweeper of our own and keeping the operation the same as it's been.
You know, street sweeping is a really vital part of our operations at Public Works. It serves
State gets really cranky.
many roles.
Yeah.
You know, it keeps a lot of sediment and garbage and whatever else is kicking around the streets out of our stormwater system and out of our waterways. You know, it keeps the sides of the roads cleaner for bicyclists and all sorts of pedestrians.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you to bring that point up because I've had 2 or 3 people come up to me in the last couple of days when they read this and they said, street sweeper, we need a sidewalk plow. We need another sidewalk plow. Who cares about the dirt? And I said, well, maybe I can get Hannah or Steve to explain why we need the street sweeper. So thank you for articulating that, and you can maybe expound on it a little bit more.
We hit every street in town twice a year. We
Yep.
hit the downtown area more regularly, and especially for events. It's Strolling Peppers, stuff like that. It's vital to our operations, certainly.
I have a question. Is there any chance this new one will be slightly quieter?
No.
Great alarm clock.
That was a no,
How did you
Tim.
want to get up at 3?
Vacuum cleaner.
I never see them out that early, though.
Not on your street.
Not on my street.
They hit High Street very early.
Yes. Test.
Anyone else? Does anyone in the public have any questions about the new street sweeper? Would anyone on the board like to make a motion?
Nobody. I move we award the bid for Johnson Street Sweeper to Delury Sales and Service in the amount of $259,385.
We have a motion to award a bid for a new street sweeper to Delory in Sales and Service in the amount of $259,385. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries 5-0.
Now, nobody wanted it to be electric, huh?
I asked already in the agenda meetings.
Brandy,
Yeah.
checked that one off already.
Right.
The dump truck is electric.
Yes. Up
I
next.
asked about that.
Yeah. Up next is the dump truck.
This evening, I'm asking for approval to award a bid for a Dodge Ram 5500 truck to Goss Dodge Chrysler of Burlington, Vermont, in the amount of $115,425. This is to, we're replacing our 1-ton truck with a little bit of a bigger truck. We've been finding that when we plow the gravel roads and some of our smaller streets, that the 1-ton and the pickup trucks that we've been using are just, it's a little bit too much for them. We end up having to send the grader out. And so this was a equipment purchase that was approved through the capital planning program.
And if I can address, well, it's not an electric vehicle. Compared to the truck that it's replacing, and compared to especially when we send out a grader, it is not only more fuel efficient, but overall more gentle on the environment.
Hannah, is this fully equipped with, is this plow set up and everything?
This comes with everything.
I was going to say, because 115 seemed like a lot of money just for a truck, so
And a dump body.
And a dump
as
body.
well.
Yep, good.
And white walls.
Anyone else have comments? Does anyone in the public have any comments or questions? Yes. Michael?
Yeah, Michael Bosworth from the Energy Committee. I'm not standing up to object to this. I'm just riffing a little bit off of what Peter just said. You know, this is not an electric vehicle, but and I'm sure people like Hannah, you know, keep up to the latest through the trade magazines or whatever. But the electric vehicles for trucks are coming, and they are there in some places in the world. I don't know how much they cost and what the cost benefit, but you know, it's not that far into the future when we can think in terms of actually purchasing electric vehicles for trucks that will do the job for us. There's one example from the technology of business. Down in Australia, a Melbourne-based logistics firm, King's Transport, recently bought 9 electric vans and light trucks from SEA Automotive. So, and the chief executive says his firm realized a few years ago that electric commercial vehicles were becoming economically viable much faster than predicted. So I think there's good hope on the horizon that someday we'll be voting on electric vehicles for this type of purchase and others as well. So, thanks.
Thank you. Dale?
Yeah, and I just want to ask what is the yards on that dump?
Truthfully, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm certainly happy to look it up and get back to you.
Yeah, would you?
Mm-hmm.
For that amount of money. I'd like to know.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, or would someone like to make a motion?
To award the bid for a Dodge Ram 5500 truck to Goss Dodge Chrysler in the amount of $115,425 with white walls. No, that's not.
Strike that.
Turn those around. It's not cool anymore.
We've
It's
got,
time to turn it back.
Yes.
we've got a motion to award a bid for $115,425 to Dodge, or to Goss Dodge Chrysler for a Dodge Ram truck. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Join us more often, would you please? Okay, thank you.
Next up is the window replacement bids at the Gibson Aiken Center.
Thank you. The 3 bids are set forth in your backup materials. This is the 3rd phase of the window replacement at the Gibson Aiken Center. We've been budgeting $30,000 a year to do this in affordable pieces. This 3rd phase, we received bids from Vermont Vinyl here in town, Portland Glass here in town, and Russell Construction Services of Rutland. The bids ranged from $25,520 to $73,200. And the $25,520 is about $4,500 less than our $30,000 budget for this project. And Vermont Vinyl is the contractor who has successfully completed both of the first 2 phases.
And this
of
is the
this project.
last phase, right? This is the end of it?
It is either,
that.
it's the final phase at 30, I believe. I think there may be a few openings still to follow, but we'll be clear about that at budget time. But it is the 3rd of the large phased improvement. And so we recommend an award to Vermont Vinyl as being the appropriate firm to do this. They've done it successfully for us in the past, and they've submitted a very competitive bid.
Great. Can I ask a question? It's not bid related, but was Vermont Vinyl or someone going through the building to look and see if air was coming through the windows? Do I remember that correctly?
There was an issue in the first phase
Okay.
During
that
the audits.
related,
Okay.
yeah, and it was actually,
Get that cleared up.
I don't recall the details of it, but there was a moment in time when we thought they hadn't been installed properly, and it turned out that was incorrect.
Okay.
And it related to something else about
Okay.
the sealing of it, you know, in the installation. I don't recall the details. I'm sorry not to recall the details. It was a couple of years ago, but there was a question that got raised, and it got satisfactorily
Yeah, I
answered.
think it was raised during the audits.
Yeah,
The
I think
auditors
it
saw
was.
something.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so
But
it's not an issue with any of these
It
other
is not,
phases.
and last year nothing like that popped up.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Anyone in the public have any questions about the Gibson Aiken Center windows? Would anyone on the board like to make a motion?
I move we award the bid for Phase 3 of the Gibson Aiken Center window replacement project to Vermont Vinyl in the amount of $25,520.
We have a motion to award a bid for Vermont Vinyl for $25,520 for the window replacement at the Gibson Aiken Center. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now we have to accept and appropriate an annual grant for the Brattleboro Community Justice Center.
So BCJC operates the restorative justice programs here. We have a relationship where the town acts the fiscal agent and does the accounting for the BCJC, and provides the office space free of charge up on the 3rd floor of this building. So those in-kind services the town provides are cover those two factors, and then all of the operating costs, the salaries and all the other operating costs of the Community Justice Center are paid for by this $150,000 grant from the state. So it's a fixed amount. It's the amount that's being offered this year by the state. I should say, when I say a fixed amount, it's an amount that's determined by the state, and it varies a little bit from year to year, but this year's number is $150,000. The BCJC is able to continue its operation on that funding, and we recommend your approval of the grant.
So this is their sole source of funding.
This is their sole source of operating funds, and then we provide the office space and administrative support.
Right, so they're not an official town.
They are not an official town office. They are funded. We have a memorandum of understanding with BCJC that says explicitly that the continued operation of that program is dependent upon this grant.
Great. Does anyone on the board have any questions about
Has
that?
it been a different amount in the past?
It has. Yeah, it's been both lower and higher in the past.
Anyone on the board have questions? Anyone in the public have any questions? Would someone like to make a motion?
To accept and appropriate the Justice Center grant amendment in the amount of $150,000 from the Vermont Department of Corrections.
We have a motion to accept and appropriate a grant for $150,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now we're going to, hopefully, I think we will, ratify the town manager's approval of a grant application for the fire department.
Yes, I hope you will too. So there's some water safety equipment that we currently own that is old and needs to be replaced, and Chief and his staff identified an opportunity to get funding for that replacement equipment from the Homeland Security Grant Program. It's a few pieces of relatively inexpensive items, total of $3,213.53 that we've applied for. The deadline for applications was July 28th, so I authorized that it be submitted, and we're coming to you tonight asking that you ratify that decision.
Are there any matching funds needed for this, or is this?
Don't know the answer. Matching funds? None.
Nope.
Great. Anyone on the board have any questions?
For fins.
Anyone in the public have any questions about the grant? Would someone on the board like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to ratify the town manager's approval of the fire department's application for a special operations water safety capabilities enhancement grant in the amount of $3,213.53.
Great, we have
from
a-
the
I'm
from the
sorry.
Vermont Homeland Security Unit.
I was too excited there. We have a motion to ratify the town manager's approval of the fire department's application for a special operations water enhancement grant. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 4-0. David Scholes has left the room.
Has left the building.
Left the building. Next up, we're going to, I guess, have an update from the Energy Committee. So I don't know if members of the committee would like to come up to the table. And please, you introduce yourselves. You know this.
Oh, yeah.
Michael knows the routine.
Hello. So I'm Michael Bosworth, Chair of the Energy Committee, and I'd let the other three just introduce themselves, and then I'll give just a little overview of what we want to talk about this evening.
Great, thank you.
My name is David Scholes.
Is it?
Ted Montgomery.
Phoebe Gooding, I'm the Town Energy Coordinator.
Roseanne Grimes.
And we're all, Roseanne's also a member of the committee. So rather than an update, what we're really trying to do tonight is just give a sort of a preview. We'll be coming back, we think, the day after Labor Day to your first September meeting, and giving you a much broader and more specific proposals on that evening. In two areas. One has to do with climate resolutions, and Phoebe will talk about that. And the other has to do with a program, the Downtown Brattleboro Business Energy Program, that Tad has put an awful lot of time in, and that I will talk about. We can answer a few questions, but again, a lot more specificity in your first September meeting. So I'll turn it over to Phoebe to talk about the climate resolution work we've been doing.
So I'm going to read a statement written by the Brattleboro Energy Committee, and I'll read this on behalf of them. Many of us in Brattleboro and across the country felt shock and outrage when President Trump pulled the United States out of the Paris Climate Accord. Since then, a number of state and national organizations have announced alternative climate resolutions for environmentally minded municipalities to sign on to. The Energy Committee will be recommending that Brattleboro join one or more of these initiatives. We plan to present a specific resolution to the Select Board in the near future.
And I don't know if you've been following some of this in the papers, but there are a number of different initiatives. One at the sort of national level where states have signed on, one at the sort of city level where a number of mayors have signed on, and there's another one at Vermont level. So part of what our subgroup is doing is sort of sorting through all of that and then coming up with what we think will be the best fit for Brattleboro and presenting that in early September.
Now, can I make one request? Can you get us the language sooner rather than later? Because normally we get the notebooks the Friday before.
Mm-hmm.
If we could have that so that we can digest what you're asking us to do, that would be much appreciated.
So our next meeting is the 28th of August. So if we got you something like by Wednesday of that week, rather than Friday of that week, is that?
28th is a Monday.
Right.
If you could get it to Jan by Wednesday, so she can get in the binders.
Yeah, because it would just be really helpful to have what you want us to consider prior to like the day before. For the meeting, because we might want to tweak something. Do you know what I mean? So it would give us an opportunity. Not that I'm saying we're going to, but we might see something that we want to add, and it would be extremely helpful. Just to see it in advance.
Yeah, we can do that. Because we'll be taking our own internal vote on the 28th of August, so we'll be able to wrap that up and get it to Jan by the Wednesday of that week.
That'd be great. That'd be really great.
Any additional questions about the climate resolution stuff, or you're sort of in a wait and see mode?
Yeah, wait and see.
So the other item is the Downtown Brattleboro Downtown Brattleboro Building Energy Program, and it is and I'll just read the first sentence because the first sentence really captures a lot in the sort of working document that we have. Be a highly publicized, focused, limited time initiative to encourage and support businesses, residents, and organizations in Brattleboro to undertake comprehensive energy audits, implement energy conservation measures, and install renewable energy systems. So that's a lot. And we hope we need to put together the funding to make this happen, but we've talked to an awful lot of organizations who could be potential partners and provide in-kind support. Tad's done an awful lot of that legwork. Just recently, we talked to the Department of Housing and Community Development at the state level, and they're very interested. And Efficiency Vermont's very interested. So things have to fall in place to make this happen. One of the primary ones, finding the funding to do it. But if we can carry this out, it will help the town meet or make progress through some of the energy and climate change goals that the state has set up for our long-term through the long-term comprehensive energy plan. So it's in process, but a lot of the way there. We will be meeting with Peter to sort of flesh some more of this out, and we would be seeking some help from the town and sort of helping figure out, all right, where are potential funding sources for such a program. Efficiency Vermont and others have done similar programs in towns like Bennington. This would be a little bit more than that because this additionally has an emphasis on renewable energy as well as energy conservation. So, it would really, I think, help business owners as well, building owners as well, because it's meant to be a cost-saving measures as well as energy-saving measures. So that's sort of it in a nutshell. Any additional?
That's great.
No.
Part of why we're presenting these two together is getting the town to sign on to the equivalent of the Paris Climate Accord, and then also presenting a mechanism by which the town can achieve the goals established in the Paris Accord, which is 26 to 28% reduction in greenhouse gas production by 2025. So that's a pretty substantial goal, and this is a very specific mechanism to help the town achieve that.
A lot of the work we've done with the town and with the select board in the past is, when we talk about buildings, we've often been focused on town-owned buildings. This particular program is meant to be address private buildings, whether they're private for-profit or private nonprofit buildings, to help those business owners, those building owners, make progress on those buildings. So.
Does anyone on the board have questions?
Well, I mean, I think I'll just as a sort of a hint of my questions when you make your full presentation, I think my two main questions would be, how would this program, the downtown Brattleboro Building Energy Program, how would it sort of duplicate, overlap, integrate with what Efficiency Vermont is already doing? And you don't necessarily have to have a clear answer to that question. And then definitely what kind of money you'd be looking for, from the taxpayers to support the programs, or perhaps are you talking only in-kind hours from town staff to help with funding sources and things like that? But those are my two big questions that come to mind.
We'll give partial answers at this point. I mean, we've talked to Efficiency Vermont, and they're very interested in working as a partner on this. So, yeah, obviously, they've already worked on some buildings in Brattleboro, but they already said, basically, is partly what they do is a lot of what this is about. So, yes, they'd be very interested in helping out with that. The funding, we still have work to do on that. If there are grants out there that would, go most of the way for this, but it needs some kind of small match, would we turn to the town for that or try to find match elsewhere? We haven't worked out those type of details at this point, because I think a lot of this does depend on the funding itself, and so we have to sort through a lot of that.
I have sort of a follow-up. Oh, you want to go, John?
No.
Mine is sort of on Tim's sort of line, is is this a town project or an energy committee project, or is this a private business? You know what I mean? Like, who's gonna manage, you don't have to answer this now either. Who manages this? Is the money, I mean, to me, it's sort of like if it goes to the energy committee, that money's coming through the town, I would assume. I don't know, these are all the questions that I would like to, because I know Tad put a proposal together. So I don't know if this is the same proposal that's now being adopted by the energy committee. So that would be, you know, my question would be, how is this structured?
Right. And we don't have answers for all that.
Okay.
But, you know, obviously some kind of oversight, if we're going to enlist the town help in applying for grants, for example, the town would want to have some kind of oversight. So part of the proposal would, you know, just, you know, how are we going to staff this and all. So I don't, we're not projecting using, well, we are in a way projecting using some time of existing town staff members as far as if we wanted to help apply for a grant, for example, and some town time would be taken up with that if the town wants to help with that. So,
Or for businesses to develop their proposals or their plans or the development, to go before the DRB or any planning or any other commissions that have to approve the changes or the you know, changes in the buildings.
yeah, I'm not sure how much we'd have, those building owners would have to go before the DRB for some of this.
Not either.
Yeah.
So you'll have that more fleshed out, the who's, the where's,
Yeah.
because I'm assuming if the state is giving money, it has to give it to something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, where does it go?
Right.
And is this, and please don't get me, I don't know, Tad, I could be wrong, but you were setting it up as your own business before, and so now it sounds like it's an energy committee project. So how does that all factor in? Those are my questions.
So could I take an answer?
Yeah, yeah.
So I did initially develop it as a sort of a private venture, and it didn't get funded. So I then proposed it to the Energy Committee for the committee to take this on, and they have, and are now in the process of asking the Select Board for endorsement for this project. And the people who would play the staff roles aren't at this point designated. It might be us, it might be hired out to someone else.
Okay, but that'll all be fleshed out in September? Okay.
Mm,
Oh, no?
Well, a lot
We
more.
won't have decided who the staff people are then, probably.
Okay, but you'll have more of an idea of
Well, we have a
what
very
this looks
comprehensive
like.
proposal.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
saw the original one, I just don't know how much it's changed since
A
then, since
lot.
it's gone to the Energy Committee.
Yeah, we're on draft 7.0 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still a little bit confused, Michael and Tad, or as you were calling yourself, David. What the difference is between that or Efficiency Vermont. I'm just trying to figure out the big difference in all this.
So can I take a step?
Yeah.
Efficiency Vermont would be a partner in this, a pretty major partner.
Right.
So they would bring their body of expertise and focusing on Brattleboro in a very concerted way for a limited time. Having office hours, helping with publicity for this campaign, a bunch of things like that. But Efficiency Vermont, their mandate is electricity efficiency. That's what they were created to perform.
They've expanded on that.
They've expanded some.
Yes.
And this program would start with thermal efficiency and audits, but also incorporate renewable energy and what we're calling modern wood heat. And those are things that Efficiency Vermont doesn't really deal with. So we're really broadening the scope beyond what they traditionally do. Looking at each building, like what are the opportunities with each building to move it towards sustainable.
I think the program would also include like a big publicity campaign, so that maybe more building owners who haven't thought about it in the past could think about it and say, all right, this might be feasible for me. And what we're trying to build into is some incentives to get that first step done, which is a detailed audit. You know, detailed audits can cost money, and so building owners may shy away from that first step. So we get some, you know, matching money, so that's not as costly for them. They can take that first step and then learn how much they can save if they invest with the changes. And also listing, you know, local lending institutions as well, because, you know, at that point, the building owners might have to borrow money to do the full-fledged recommendations.
So is anywhere down the road, are you going to be mandating that businesses have to comply, or?
We don't have the authority.
Well, I know, I'm just wondering if this is where this is heading, is that, you know, that,
You have to ask President Trump.
well, no,
I don't think there's any mechanism for that,
it's
John.
a state, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're hoping it's incentivized, you know,
Right.
the little bit of matching money to begin with to do the detailed audits. And then after those audits, they see that they can save money over time. They'll have to borrow money maybe to make the changes, but then they can still save money. So those would be the incentives that the building owners would want to do this.
We only have carrots, no sticks.
Carrots are good.
Carrots are.
And, you know, and as a private homeowner, I would welcome any kind of creative thinking around helping with finding incentives for people like me. It has a house that I was looking at putting in a pellets boiler a couple years ago, and it just financially was very difficult to pull that trigger. So, and it does apply, your plan is going to apply to residentials as well? Or are you starting with businesses? I thought I saw that it
If we get full funding, we'll be able to work with residents also. If we don't, we'll probably just work with commercial buildings.
Okay.
Of course, commercial includes mixed use, obviously. Yeah.
Sure.
I just want to go back to one thing. I think you said reducing our greenhouse gases by a certain amount by 2025, as far as paying attention.
Yep.
And
That's
this-
the Paris Climate Accord.
Right, but this plan, do we have to implement this plan? You said these are tied together. Like, what if we said no on one thing, and, I mean, do we have to?
No, you don't
So
have
there's
to.
I'm not saying I'm gonna say no, but I'm just trying to figure out if there are other ways. If we have numbers, there are probably other things we can do on top of it. Like, this is not the be-all and end-all. There are other things we can do, right?
There are always other things
Okay.
that can be done.
Yeah.
But we're recommending this as a very concrete step that
Yeah.
can bring us very far, very quickly.
Yeah.
The other part of this is that through the Wyndham Regional Commission, towns are now being asked to develop plans, comprehensive plans on a town-by-town basis to start moving towards the state's goals of 90% renewable by 2050. And there are benchmarks at 2025 and 2035. And that is happening. Now, there are 3 trial towns in the county, Vernon, Dover, and Westminster, I think. I'm not sure. But all towns will soon be asked to start making very concrete plans for achieving those goals.
Which is gonna be a real headache for towns that don't have staff
Right, well, that's what
to
I'm thinking.
dedicate to it.
Yeah.
See
what
why they
Wyndham-
chose those 3 towns.
Are there a lot of grants out there that are available for?
If you hear of any, John, let us know.
That's why I asked.
That's the hard part.
Kim might find some.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
We've had some very positive reception. Beth Pierce heard about this. I think Molly Burke gave her a copy of one of my early proposals, and she called me, state treasurer, and said, I am sitting on a pot of $25 million that I would like to dedicate to financing projects exactly like this.
Do you need a truck to go get the pot?
You know, you all talking about a new backhoe or something, of a dump truck? Maybe we could, the first run.
How many yards of money?
Up to Montpelier.
Street sweeper, we sweep up the money.
The state is at least on the side of this, the state of Vermont, from the little I've read, right? About
Scott seems to be continuing the plan, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because it's gonna take more than one town.
Oh,
We need to,
yeah.
and one state, it has to be all of us. But we can make our little dent in it.
Glad to hear you say that.
I'm excited to see
Yeah.
your comprehensive proposal.
Okay, I think Dale had a question.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm not getting this. your venture is for commercial businesses, correct?
It could be
Right now?
any private owners. It could be.
Or
All private
nonprofits,
owners.
organizations.
What if those private owners were going to move into this building after the police move out? Would you also allow what you're gonna do with a private owner in a building like this?
I don't think so, because the owner of this building would be the town, so even though other entities might move into this building, they don't actually own the building.
They don't own the building, but if they lease it with options for, like say the town decided to say, okay, we're gonna lease you this at this, but you gotta fix this. Can that be done that way so that the town doesn't have to cough it up for that tenant that may do a long-term lease if he does certain things? Do you know what I'm saying?
I think I understand, but
Is it
potentially,
specifically just for private property?
No.
Can it be for town buildings that need fixing up so private businesses can move into them? That's what I'm asking.
Well, if we're talking about this building in particular, there's a whole plan.
Well, any building that is owned by the town, you said the state has a bunch of money and they're sitting on it, could they use some of that money to help fix buildings up? A lot of private owners can't afford to move in or even lease long-term to fix something up. And they can't own it, but they can lease it from towns. Like I'll use an example. When I was younger, my father couldn't afford a garage. The town said, oh, you can have that garage, but you gotta fix it up. So here we dumped, $12,000 back then. That was a lot of money into that building. And it could have broke us. If we had somebody like you guys, we could have possibly got some kind of funding to help us.
So you're basically
That's what I'm
saying,
trying to say, it's a business.
right, are you basically saying, someone who moves in, say downtown,
Yeah,
one of the Manley building, somebody moves into the Manley building and wants to put a business there, but they would like to do some upgrades, energy efficiency upgrades. The person who's coming in to rent wants to do
Right.
energy efficiency upgrades.
but they couldn't afford it.
Right, is this a program that somebody who's coming in to rent a space in the Manley building can come and get money from? Is that what I'm saying?
Or is it just for
Yeah.
the property owner?
Right, is it just the property
Right.
owner that applies?
That's what I'm asking.
So what we would do is try to facilitate a conversation between the renter and the owner and Efficiency Vermont in terms of subsidies, and create some kind of an arrangement whereby the energy improvements offset perhaps an increase in rent. So the tenant ends up paying less over whatever the term of the lease agreement is.
Right, and you could do that also possibly for town buildings that need to be rented out, but they also need fixing up before they really can be rented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I was
Does
asking.
that make sense? Okay.
just also the statement that the state is sitting on a big pot of money, I think we don't want to mislead people because, if the state treasurer has some money, they'd want to see a program, probably a lot of it would be loans, very well defined, so they might participate, but it's not like they're, would be just doling out lots of money.
I understand
yeah.
that, but I'm just saying, would it be allowable if you're gonna do it for private people downtown, and you're gonna do those things, I'm sorry, and you're gonna do those things between those people, and it's private, why can't you do it between town buildings that are empty and a private person? Town could offer them a great deal if they did certain things. I'm not saying you have the buildings, but I'm saying, is it possible?
Yeah.
That's all.
Potentially, yeah.
One question or comment. the state likes loan programs better than grant programs because they can, and we do too, because you can reuse the money over time. But for somebody that's marginal, a marginal business, loan isn't really that helpful. And the interest rates are really low. The bank was offering lower loans than the pilot program was for energy upgrades to homes for a long time. And so I just encourage you to, if possible, to find as much money as you can through grants, so that people can actually use the program. Because I think there are tons of people that, not just it would certainly be helpful to pay for the audits, but even after that, for to cover some of the costs of the work. And I'm not sure what long-term arrangements might be made to share some of the energy savings over time to compensate the fund. But we have lots of people that come for our small business loans, and or would come if it were a partial grant or if there was some way to do it. But if you're asking somebody to add to their debt burden in order to do an energy upgrade, it's adding. It's a great idea, and I'd love to do it, but it's adding to the debt burden, and that's not necessarily a healthy thing for a business to do. So.
Have you talked to property owners, just to follow up on what David said? What property owners, any of the property owners downtown, to see what they think?
I've talked to a number.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would grants be obviously better for them than a loan?
The big grant source that I have worked with is the USDA REAP program, Rural Energy in America, I think. And that can cover 25% of the cost of a project. And it's either efficiency or renewables. And we're in a rural community that qualifies for that. They're 2 times a year, so it has to be structured so that you hit those deadlines. And it's a pretty complicated grant process. But I have grant people who are willing to work on that aspect of it. So that's all part of this program.
Yeah, because the program is only as good as the number of people who take part in it. So if there's a way to structure it, as David said, so more people could take part in it.
Yeah. So part of what we'll be doing is a publicity campaign to let all the building owners know what is available in terms of the technologies, in terms of the financing, and to get the tenants sort of bugging their landlords. No offense meant to landlords in the room, about asking for these upgrades and saying, we really want this.
But some of it is, there are a lot of building owners, I think, downtown that would love to make improvements, but it really is expensive. So to me, it's, you might want the tenants to bug it, but sometimes people don't make the improvements because they don't want to. So I wouldn't encourage, this sounds really bad, but I don't want it to get aggressive and have the tenants going, you're not doing the right thing, when somebody wants to do the right thing, but the capital isn't there to do it. You see what I mean? I mean, I don't want to turn landlords and tenants against each other.
I think
we want everyone, as you just said, everyone has to do their part.
Any more than they are.
Right. But I think we have to be really realistic and realize that, property, I hate to say this, but property taxes in the town are expensive. I don't like to say that, but they are, let's be honest. The downtown property owners are also, they pay into a special assessment. So they're actually paying more than any, another commercial property owner anywhere else in town. So they have an added burden. So I just think just to keep that in mind, when you're looking at this and realizing, they're extra burdened downtown because they have that special assessment. So when you're looking at something, I agree with what David is saying, that grants are way better than loans, but I also don't think we should demonize downtown property owners if they can't take advantage of this. That's basically what I'm saying.
I'm not sure I've heard that from anybody.
No, but I would just say,
they're talking about opportunities.
Right, but I'm saying don't, like when you're saying, let's make the tenants bug the property owners. I get what you're saying in a nice way, but I'm just trying to say, let's look at all there's so many well-meaning property owners downtown that want to do the right thing.
The tenants could be offering carrots, though.
Right. Not throws. Not like picketing their front doors.
But I think, Efficiency Vermont and other partners have done similar programs in like Bennington, which is similar to ours, and a lot of building owners did take advantage. So It's one measure of possibilities here.
Yeah, and there are, and I'm not dissing this, I'm just saying, I just would love to put it in sort of perspective on whatever you can do to help the property owner. And again, I agree with David that grants are better than loans, but if you talk to them, you're probably gonna have some property owners that'll be really, really happy to hear what you have to
Some
say.
testimonials from Bennington and other places that have programs.
Yeah.
And some of our own building owners that have done
Yes.
fantastic work, like
Yeah.
Jason Cooper and
Yes.
the Brooks House.
Yes.
Wasabi Group did really excellent renovation work.
Yeah.
But we'll be looking to you all for assistance in trying to come up with that kind of grant money. Because we don't have access to any that kind of numbers ourselves.
And that's the in-kind staff support you're talking about.
Yeah, help think you through and then maybe help with the actual applications if there are good grants out there.
But you're coming back in September, and you won't have it all fleshed out, but you'll have it.
We'll have proposals for you,
Yeah.
pretty concrete proposals.
Okay.
And our presentation is probably going to be in the same,
Okay.
Even more
our
exciting
annual
for
presentation.
September.
And what's the timeline for you? Well, it depends on when you get the money, right? Like when you could kick it off.
Yeah. Yeah, we see it as 3 phases, sort of a preparatory phase, and then a educational phase, publicity phase, and then an implementation phase.
But it sounds to me like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you're not only asking for in-kind money, but eventually money from the town?
One of our partners, the Vermont Housing
And community
Development, they said, with a program of this magnitude, it's really going to look good if the town kicks some in. To date, we have not ever thought that we would be coming to the town asking for money, but they did say that.
Is this the program through this is a program through the state,
Yeah.
the Agency of Commerce?
Yeah,
It's the Community Development Block Grant Program.
I think they also over.
You're not sure if the block grant program though. Well, I'm not sure.
It might be the same, is that what it is, Patrick?
But they designated downtowns, they also oversee that program.
I'm familiar with the Vermont Community Development Program, but I'm not sure what program we're discussing.
Okay, because that's the one that they come and say if you have matching grants, but that'll be interesting. Yeah.
So this is just sort of the first
Yeah.
flash to you all. We'll be meeting with Peter next week, going over the nitty-gritty details. Anything either of you want to say on either of these?
All right,
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
We'll see you in September.
Yep.
Now, Dave, before I really can, not to forget your issue.
Yeah, actually, I looked it up, it was energy, but it's around communications.
Yeah.
And energy was the thing that triggered, someone had written to me about, and said something about the not using the heat pumps, and they said they're using oil, and so I just wrote back, so actually no, it's propane, and we've got oil generator backups. Maybe that's what they do, and so yeah, that's right. And it just struck me that if there were some place that if we could, this is kind of a big idea, but it really is around the website idea, that for things like, now panhandling, for things like diversity and integration, for things like energy, that there are large or significant groups of people or parts of the population that are interested and concerned about them. If there was some way we could create a place to store the information about what we've done so far. And I don't know if it would be like the slideshows from the Energy Committee, if it would just be but if somebody wanted to know when we did talk about the heat facilities, or when we talked about the integration or any of those things, if they wanted to know, they would have to go to the website and then just click on agenda after agenda after agenda backward through history to find it, and then go through all of that. And in this day and age, anything that's being typed into a computer can also be saved and sent to a web person, and they can find a format to put it up there. So it was along the lines of the website and identifying and parking might be, it might be everything that's on our agenda.
Right.
We want to have, people are going to want to be able to get it, but just so that when misinformation comes along, which happens pretty regularly, that we can just, send a link to somebody and say, here's the action that we actually took, and it was on this day, and you can go to Brattleboro and read what they thought about it, and you can see all the documents, and you can see the video on BCTV, and, give people sources. for them, it would also be nice for me to be able to go back and look and say that, because actually what I told the person wasn't completely accurate, because we don't have a backup heating system that's oil, we have a backup generator that's oil. And, but anyway, just to get to, for people to be able to find information on the issues that are in front of us, and, or like when Curtis came, because he was, hadn't heard anything for a while. And he would have had to be watching all these videos or reading our minutes to know that we had decided to do it in September. And even though a lot of people are watching, a lot of people aren't. So I just we've talked about wanting to get information out. Brandy had a way of phrasing it, which I'm forgetting, but it's getting things in front of people's faces or pushing information out, making it easier for people to access information about what we're doing or what we've done.
Now, who maintains our
I
website?
don't know why you couldn't, in a 14-letter email from I typed in the dark of a tent and then had to drive by the local library.
I probably messed it up, David.
No, you had it. You had it right. I listened.
Does somebody maintain our website? Or?
It's a very decentralized process. We don't have a webmaster. We don't even have an IT staff person who would do website maintenance and the other services. So,
and that's a full-time
so
job.
is Jan just like updating the CMS?
She does the things that are related to general administration and the select board, and each department updates pages and documents that are related to their operations. We have, on the diversity matter, we've actually created a separate section that you can go straight to from the homepage to the collection of documents that is growing there. We have the same thing for the police fire facilities projects, but that has grown so large over time that it would still be not an easy task to go and find the exact one you were looking for.
Well, and since on our goals the update the website not yet working on this item, since it's good we're not working on it, because this would change might change the way you want to do it. The format that we've got is, I'm sure it meets the legal requirements, and it's the records are all there, but it's not easy to use even for us.
We agree that one goal of the website update is to make it more user-friendly. There's a tremendous amount of information out there, but it's not the easiest to navigate.
Is there somebody in-house that is the point person for the update? Because I do the bank's website. I do all of that, and so I would have a couple questions that would be best for me to address to somebody that's working in the CMS of how we could do something like that.
Yep. Yeah, so you and I have had some conversations about social media, and in that same vein, we'd welcome some expert input from you regarding the website.
Yeah.
It's just something that we, in the midst of addressing everything else we're addressing, we haven't gotten to yet.
Nobody has time for websites.
Didn't we have somebody start? I thought there was somebody at the library that was really.
There is, but you can't have him.
Oh, stop.
No. This is it. Start. This is. You're not, because I remember this conversation.
Yes, we have somebody.
So we can get some in-kind service from the library.
Well, the library is actually part of our team.
Well, it doesn't sound it.
Well, but
open some days.
In all seriousness, that's a symptom of the decentralized nature, and it's not just this. It's HR, and it's a lot of other parts of our town government that in organizations our size, it's not uncommon to have somebody who's your go-to person. But we function instead in a manner where each department does their own, and so. Yeah, the library has a terrifically talented person.
Yes.
There are other people with varying levels of skills, some of them really good skills in some of the departments, but we have, in addition to upgrading the website and making it more user-friendly for people who go to it, we need to figure out how to make it easier to maintain as well, because we are so decentralized right now.
You don't share well.
I
put our information
I was give tips for somebody else to do, like, do you give me the login? I can that's what I meant. I
thank
could
you.
look at it and
Okay.
see what we could do.
That'd be great.
For this one project.
Thank you.
Like a select board page.
I just want to make two really quick comments. One is that, we have a CRTO that's an excellent document that our town manager put together. What's the other document that you put together?
We'll be coming to the long-term financial plan update shortly. I want to just make very clear that the team put that together. Yes, but thank you.
Okay,
I think they're important.
You at the head of the team.
Thank you.
Important that it's a team effort. But, so there is sort of like definitely people are steering the ship here in this town and staying on top of all of these different balls that are in the air for different issues that we're dealing with. But I just want to give a little bit of pushback on when people, especially on social media, where sort of these statements can be made, and I can't believe the town is doing blank. There is a certain amount of responsibility to the person saying this and starting the conversation to actually do their homework. Because a lot of that homework doesn't happen. I've seen it happen pretty recently in the last couple of weeks, actually, where a statement was made that was filled with inaccuracies about how we got to a decision. And asking the town and the employees to sort of recreate the entire timeline of how that happened is a little unfair in a way.
Yeah, I'm not asking for that.
No,
But I also
no,
think
and I like what you're saying. I'm totally in support of sort of trying to figure out a better way to document what has gone on in the past. So that
the best remedy for people with misinformation is access to the information.
Sure.
And I think that part of being in this position is we have to do everything we can to get that information out to people. And it's when you talk about juggling balls, and I mentioned the three things earlier about in September, the panhandling and the plastic bags and the integration, and we just added energy to September as well. And it's like, we're not gonna get the website in September. I just wanted to, it's just when it does come around and there are, we've got the new systems, we've got the new servers, and, we've got a very integrated information system. Now we just need to figure out how to integrate the information.
Well, I think it doesn't matter how much, ways to get the information is out there.
Some people aren't, that's right.
Some people are just not going to want to listen.
Yeah, exactly. You can't make people, but making it easier to get is worthwhile.
But if you want to get the information, it's out there. It may be a little difficult at this point.
Yep.
But like you said, you can, if you have enough, ambition to do this, you can go back to every agenda. And
I've done it.
And I have too.
Yeah.
But we're not putting something on the town manager's plate today.
No, I just wanted to clarify what I was talking about.
No, we're going to go to the library.
So noted.
Yes, it's going to be on
Randy
Star's
and
plate.
Star are going to fix it.
I already said do it.
Bring it on.
The 2 stars.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
That's right, Star.
Oh yeah, no. Star gave me a shirt. It's very important to me now. It's one of my prized possessions, and it says "Star can do it." It was relevant to her. It's relevant to me. It's a shared shirt.
Sure. Just not the IT person.
2 R's.
No problem.
2 R's.
No
That
problem.
is perfect. Next up is our August 15th meeting. And right now, the only items on the agenda are updates from, I think, SevEds.
Right.
What was the other ones? I've got them written here. The Connecticut River Transit, Southeastern Vermont Transit, which is the bus system, BDCC, and it's really important, Star. I'm not belittling your thing, but Brooks Memorial Library and the Arts Committee is a maybe.
All very important.
They're all very important.
For money?
Yes. Yep. Yes, and I don't want to make light of anybody that we're talking about, but there's no, at this point, any action.
Earth-shattering.
Yeah, there's no action that the town manager is saying that we need to take on August 15th. So the question is, do we want to skip August 15th and start up again in September? It'll give us one extra free day that we won't
Look at
have
these
as it's
faces
coming up.
right now.
So
Of
does
course.
anyone have any objection for
No.
not meeting on August 15th? I know David doesn't.
That's my second day of mom school. I officially will be my second day into being a stay-at-home mom.
There you
So
go.
you're perfect. So is there any objection to not meeting
I'm not
August
sure.
15th?
I'm not sure I'd call it an objection, but I just want to say for the record that I've planned out my breaks very carefully, and they fall between select board meetings. So I don't know.
Well,
I feel
you
like
can have
I could have
the
one
updates.
by myself.
It could
So-
be 4 to 1.
I'll be in the area if you need me.
Can we say it's, have we talked to these people that are presenting and made sure that they feel okay about it. That would be my only thing. I wouldn't want anybody to be missed or come into town special for this or.
Sure. There were 3 for certain and a 4th maybe. We didn't talk to the maybe, but the other 3 would be able to come in September instead of August. It might be the second one. You know, one of the things we'll need to do is balance. We've got a lot to do in September, so between the 5th and the 19th, we'll be balancing the 2 agendas. But we could do that. The other thing I think that would be important to note is because 5 weeks is a long time to take the break, and things can come up. Right now, we don't envision any action needing to be taken by the select board on the 15th. So therefore, the next time that you'd be taking action on something would be September 5th. That creates this opportunity to take this hiatus if you want to. But we all should recognize that if something comes up that really does require your action before September 5th, we would ask you to come together for a special meeting.
I'll be in town. Tim will be in town.
Does that make sense?
You'll be in town.
I have no life.
There we go.
Does that all
So
make
we have a
sense?
quorum in town.
Oh, actually,
No.
this month I'll be out of town.
Does that make, does everyone feel comfortable
Should we
with that?
just wait till
Wait for
David
David.
gets back?
Well,
in?
David
Sure,
says
he's gonna be here.
David said he's fine when he left. He
But we're not
went and-
taking a vote.
No, I just would have
He
like a
gave the
sense
John
of.
McCain
Yeah, he did.
thumbs down.
So what, does that make sense? Do you feel comfortable with that? If there needs to be a meeting, there be a meeting?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's fine. We've done it before.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do it. Oh, does somebody want to say something about us not meeting or meeting? Yeah, do
What-
come to
You
the,
said if something special came up because the Fantastic One-Tasket, we may need to know about the permit and stuff beforehand because we may have a lot of natives coming from all over.
Right.
That'll be, we only have a certain amount of time to get this done, so we just.
Those are, from what I understand about that event, those would be staff-issued permits. There'd be facility rentals through the Recreation Department and permits issued by staff
Okay.
related to potential open-air permits or parade permits.
Okay, because it might be more than 3,000 people.
I'm sorry?
Might be more than 3,000 people. Oh, that's what I was wondering.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. David, so are you comfortable only meeting if something comes up and then having those reports come
I
in
won't be in
September?
town.
But you're okay with
Yeah.
not meeting on the 15th?
He's not gonna be in town. He doesn't care.
Okay.
He's gonna be in another tent.
I watch it and
Is that okay if something comes up and you have
Yeah.
to call us together, but there's only
Three
2 of us?
of you can come together.
Three can come.
But you said you'd be out of town.
Right.
No, but it's fine.
There's 3 of you.
Yep, it's fine.
We'll
work it out with it.
We will.
Yeah.
We will do what needs to be done.
I can easily come down. I'm just gonna be up in Burlington,
Yeah.
so I could come down.
The town manager's office is resourceful.
Feel that we have done our due
Yep.
diligence.
And actually, you
in
can
this
reach me. Molly will be home, so you can reach me if you need to.
Excellent.
All right, okay.
Thank
Now
you.
Now we have committee appointments. And they're to Basic and to the Development Review Board. And we have, there's one vacancy on Basic, and we have one applicant, and there are 3 vacancies on the Development Review Board, and there is 1 applicant. So what I would do is, would anyone like to make any nominations to Brattleboro Area Skateboard is Coming?
I will nominate Matthew Rink.
Are there any other nominations for Basic? All right, all those in favor of Matthew Rink, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Matthew Rink is, 5 votes, is now a member of Basic. Are there any nominations for the Development Review Board? This is an alternate position, and it's a 1-year term. Anyone want to nominate anybody?
I'll nominate David Whittle.
David Whittle has been nominated. Are there any other nominations for the Development Review Board alternate position? All those in favor of nominating David Whittle, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5 votes for David Whittle. He is the new alternate member of the DRB.
before you entertain a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Excuse me for interrupting, but you didn't take a motion, and you don't absolutely have to, so that's fine. But on the cancellation of the August 15th meeting, I just want to note for the record that I'm taking as your consensus direction to staff that we
Yes.
announce to the public that that meeting is canceled.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yep.
See.
Yep. Okay. So would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Tim makes a motion to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 5-0, we're adjourning. Thank you, everybody here, everybody on TV, all the good people who do work to make the meeting happen.
I know, something's weird about this. Did we forget something?
You get over here right now, young lady.
Through it.
Good night.
See, that's why I love my